What gives them the right to come and simply take over a facility in an armed confrontation, making demands that haven't been the demands of the local people?
I prefer peace, but if trouble must come, you let it come in my time, so that my children may know peace.
Amen.
On January 2nd, an armed militia took over a wildlife refuge outside of Burns, Oregon, managed by the Federal Bureau of Land Management, or the BLM. The militia is led by Nevada native Ammon Bundy, and it's refused to leave until the government turns over the federal land to the people of Harney County. Manning the watchtower is Darrell Thorne, a moonshiner who drove all the way from Washington State to join the occupation.
Our job is to look out, keep an eye on everybody, make sure everybody's not wandering around and being in places where they shouldn't be.
Meanwhile, in Burns, the closest town to the refuge, Harney County Sheriff Dave Ward has called a town meeting to discuss how to address the armed occupation just a few miles from their quiet community.
Things that have been going on in our community over the last 6-8 weeks, that's not Harney County, that's not who we are. I'm just going to go ahead and ask you, how many citizens of Harney County do we have in here? Now I'm going to ask for the same show of hands of how many people want to work this out peacefully and would like these folks to go home.
These people down here at the refuge, I talked to them and they ain't hurting a damn thing down there. But they brought us all together. They're waking people up.
I'm proud to be a rancher, and I'm not going to let some other people be my face. I am me. This is my home.
It's been almost a week now since the militia led by Ammon Bundy have been occupying the Mallow Wildlife Refuge headquarters. And whilst the people of Harney County are happy that the issues faced by ranchers have been raised by the occupation, they're getting pretty tired of it carrying on for so long and the disruption that the occupation has caused. So we're going to head up to the refuge and see really if this militia are here for the long haul. This is the entrance to the wildlife refuge. There aren't that many militia guys that we can see, but there are a hell of a lot of media. We've heard from some of the people in the town how they've spoken about how they're upset that some of the militia guys here are from outside the county, the state, and one of those guys is John Ritzheimer, who's got a bit of a controversial history with patriot groups, and we're hoping to speak to him and see why he's come down here. Ritzheimer is best known for a series of anti-Islamic videos and protests across the country.
I'm up here because I'm a Marine. I swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution, and I'm upholding that oath and serving my country now.
Yesterday there was a big meeting at the town hall with lots of people. Most people there were very happy that, issues faced by ranchers in the area have been raised by what's going on here, but seemingly most people wanted this to end as soon as possible, if not now. What do you think about that?
I'm one of those. I want this to end peacefully, quickly, and I want to be able to return home to my family, but unfortunately this will end when it needs to end, basically.
On our way into the refuge, we came across a local boy who came to interview Ammon Bundy's brother Ryan for his school paper, something we've been trying to do for days.
Go ahead, ask your questions and I'll answer.
Are you moving here forever?
Nope.
Just temporarily?
Yep, we're just here to help establish some rights and help you guys out. Our family wants to help your family, and that's all we need to do. Okay, thank you.
Do you think you're making an impact on locally, statewide, and nationwide?
I think that pretty much everybody's listening right now, And I'll tell you what, we can't do it for you. You know, you guys are going to have to decide that you want your freedom. How old are you?
I'm 11.
Yeah, okay, you want my name? My name is Ryan Bundy.
Okay, thank you.
We're a few hundred yards from the buildings occupied by the militia, and behind me is the Mallow Wildlife Refuge. And the militia say that they're unhappy that areas of land like this across the country are fenced off to ranchers for environmental reasons. What they want is areas of land like this to be opened up back to the ranchers so they can graze their cattle. But areas like this, I mean, it's almost the definition of the middle of nowhere. There's hardly anyone here. There are certainly no feds in sight, and it doesn't look like a standoff whatsoever. The Bundys have been staying in this building since the occupation started. It's guarded by an armed militia member 24 hours a day. We spent hours requesting an interview with leader Ammon Bundy, a look inside the building, anything. Then, late in the day, one of his bodyguards came out and told us to hurry to our cars and be ready for a big development. We're following a convoy made up of militia members led by Ammon Bundy, the leader of the militias at the refuge, and they're on the way to meet with the sheriff of Harney County. This is the first time Ammon and the sheriff have met, and they're going to be discussing the situation at the refuge. We've been driving a good 15-20 minutes now away from the refuge, and it's kind of a bit dramatic meeting the sheriff on the edge of town. They met on the side of the road, each with armed protection beside them and in nearby cars.
Matter. I just want to come out and offer you guys the opportunity to help you get out and get home and resolve this thing peacefully. That's I'm willing to get you an escort all the way out of the state.
We're here for the people of Harney County. We're here because the people were ignored. They're bringing up legitimate concerns, and yet, Sheriff, you would not address those concerns.
I'm here because the citizens of Harney County have asked me to come out and ask you folks to peacefully leave.
We pose no threat to the community whatsoever at all. It's time to get the schools open, let your community get back to living. We do not pose a threat.
That's what I'm asking for.
But that can be done without us leaving.
Well, it only takes one unstable person to show up, and we know that. That's what I'm getting at. I'm not calling you unstable.
But that can happen in any community, in any area. That could happen even if we left.
But I'm here to offer safe escort out. Go back, kick it around with your folks, and I'll give you a call tomorrow and ask you what you decided.
I do.
Thanks for coming out.
Accepting the offer, Aaron, or are you declining it? What are you thinking about?
Thank you.
Will you consider the convoy a safe escort out of the state?
I'm not afraid to go out of the state. I don't need an escort. Thank you.
Outside the refuge, members of the militia, including John Ritzheimer, have kept armed watch every night.
This is the time for selflessness for our country. Thomas Paine said, I prefer peace, but if trouble must come, you let it come in my time, so that my children may know peace.
Amen.
In the morning, Ammon Bundy and his supporters hold a regular press conference to provide updates. 6 days in, it's starting to look like this cycle will continue for a long time.
In answer to the sheriff in our conversations, yesterday we met and he said gracefully that he would give us free passage out of the county and free passage out of the state if we would leave. And I can only say that this to him: we will take that offer, but not yet. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Today, after the press conference, we managed to grab Ammon Bundy for a short interview. The sheriff himself has offered you safe passage and basically people are happy you've raised issues, but they say it's time for you to leave. What do you say to that?
Well, I just barely met with 3 ranchers that asked me not to. And that seems to be, at least flowing through these doors, has been the message. I mean, we know that there are those that believe that
or that want us to leave. We understand that. I mean, but for those that are coming through our door and expressing their concerns, they're wanting us to stay long enough to get them on their feet. It could be weeks, it could be months. I don't see it being more than a year, though.
And what are those things that need to get right?
Well, the people need to be in control of their own land and not be have a people clear 3,000 miles away dictating how their own land works. Government doesn't own rights. Rights are owned by the people.
Why couldn't have this been an unarmed occupation?
Because they probably would have just came in and stopped it from happening before it ever even started. And that's why we have our Second Amendment rights. It says, the Second Amendment says, a well-regulated militia necessary for a free state. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. That's what it says. And so those two things go together. They say, hey, the people have a right to defend themselves.
Sure. But does the Constitution give you the right to occupy a federal building?
It actually does, in the sense because the federal government did not have the right to be here.
Right.
And that is very clear in the Constitution.
A lot of people are calling you guys domestic terrorists, and if you look at the definition of the word terrorism, men with guns taking over buildings, threatening harm if they are, forced into action. What do you say to that?
Well, I would say go read the Declaration of Independence, go read that's probably the best definition, and see if what we're doing is terrorism or whatever they want to call, or if it's our right to do it.
How many militia guys are with you here occupying buildings?
I've been asked that a lot, and I won't answer because of security operations.
And how did the actual occupation take place? Was there anyone here at the time?
No, we just walked down in here, the doors were open, and that's what happened. It was that easy.
All right.
So this particular property was homesteaded.
Ammon Bundy claims he's ready to die for local ranchers, but there are many who don't want his help, like Tom Sharp, whose ranch outside of Burns runs 125 cattle.
They don't know our community. They don't know how our community works through issues. So what gives them the right to come and simply take over a facility in an armed confrontation, as they have done, making demands that haven't been the demands of the local people?
The militia guys have said that they want to turn over the refuge back to the people of Harney County. Do you think that's something that's even possible?
Harney County is roughly the size of the state of Massachusetts, and 73% of our total land area, acreage, is managed by the federal government. So the federal government has built for the last 100 years an infrastructure of management offices and services that they provide, all the way from suppressing wildland fire in the summer months to a system for handling grazing permits. If the federal government were to turn that back to the local state or the local county, how would we support that? How would we pay for that? How could we possibly manage that much responsibility in the way that the federal systems have been built over the last 100 years to do?
The militia have been occupying the Mallow Wildlife Refuge for a week now, but still haven't been able to issue a clear framework for their demands. Without that framework, it's going to be pretty hard for them to hand over the refuge to local ranchers. Although the people of Harney County appreciate that issues have been raised with the occupation, the majority of them want the militia to leave. However, with Ammon Bundy refusing the very generous offer from the sheriff to be escorted out of the state safely, it's hard to see when that will happen.